Get this cat hair off me. Bringing back to retro styles has become commonplace in games for the last several years. From games like Shovel Knight to Stardew Valley, harkening back to old school graphics has drawn in both veteran and rookie players alike. One studio that has definitely shined bright in this retro revival though has been Inti Creates. They take the classics from the NES to SNES to PS1 and give new versions or spiritual successors to those games for modern players. Like with Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, they mimicked the best games from the Castlevania series and create a whole new series of games with the flawless aspect of the original series. Or when they got hired in by Capcom to create the Mega Man 9 and Mega Man 10 with the same old Mega Man aesthetics from the original games. Inti Creates is known for creating fantastic games with a retro feel, and our game topic today is we're going to see if they can continue that trend. Today, let's discuss their retro revivalist game, Dragon, Marked for Death. But before we dive into that, welcome to the Ogle's channel. If you're new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below for the latest in gaming news, content, and a few other things that we come up with from here and there. But anyway, back to Dragon, Marked for Death. The best way for me to describe Dragon Marked for Death is like they mix Mega Man X and Secret of Mana. You have wonderfully executed side-scrolling action and exciting boss fights mixed with an in-depth leveling and equipment system, all set in a fantasy world reminiscent of Squaresoft from the early 90s. It's surprising how well they mashed these two very different types of games together. The story of the game follows members of the Dragon Blood clan as they plot their revenge against the Medius Empire for destroying their homeland. To achieve this revenge, the clan forms a pact with the dragon Atrum, giving each member individual special powers. You choose one of the four members to play the game as: the Empress, the Warrior, the Shinobi, or the Witch. Each character is extremely unique and completely changes how the game is played. The Witch is fairly slow but is equipped with tons of spells to attack, heal, elevate, and more. The Empress is more attack-based with some distant magic attacks. The Shinobi is the fastest of the crew with enhanced jumping abilities and is great for exploring the areas. And finally, the Warrior is just a very dense melee character. They all have special powers granted to them from the Atrum, and with these special powers intact, you then progress to complete quests to gain power to be able to defeat the Medius Empire leaders. The quests that are given to you by the villagers are usually focused on things like defeating monsters, searching for treasure, or rescuing somebody. To be honest, the story is fairly weak because the characters come off really shallow, have weird dialogue, and sometimes the tasks seem meaningless. The overarching story is somewhat drowned out by these various side quests, and it comes off as feeling somewhat forced when it's finally resumed at the close of the game. Outside of some lackluster storytelling, the action and the quests themselves is actually quite excellent. Every level is fun to explore with a great variety of enemies to work through as you progress on your missions. Depending on the character that you select, the game will either be more of a distant shooter like Mega Man or an up-close slasher like Ninja Gaiden. The slasher characters are excellent to just hop into the game with, where the Witch takes a while to learn but can then unleash some of the most powerful attacks in the game. The game is best when played multiplayer though, because that way your team can take full advantage of all the different character abilities at once. The combat is always solid, well executed, and makes for a fantastic action experience. As you work through the enemies in the game, you will level up, find more powerful equipment, and find upgrades to your current equipment. And this aspect is pulling more from games like Secret of Mana and is what separates this from a traditional side-scroller. While they did this mashup of action RPG overall extremely well for a smooth experience, there are some flaws in the execution. First off, the Witch is by far the most powerful character in the game and should not have unlimited magic. I would blast through endless enemies with the most powerful spells and there was no holdback. Now, I thoroughly enjoyed having an OP character, but it is not leveled with the other ones nearly enough. A good RPG balances its characters, and when bringing this over to a side-scrolling world, this is needed just as much. Second, there needs to be a hotkey to use items with. If you get poisoned or low on health, you have to go to the menu to use an item, which doesn't seem like it'd be that big of a deal, but it doesn't pause the game when you go to that menu. Meaning while you're searching for the item you want to use, you usually just end up dying, making the items completely useless. These are small flaws though, and overall the gameplay is an excellent mashup of the two genres. While the vast majority of your game is spent completing these quests that you discover in the tavern, there is a hub world for you to explore as well. The hub world is very small and gives you various places to purchase items, upgrade your equipment, find new quests, and expand the story by talking to locals. There's nothing unique or special about the hub world, and in fact, it seems sort of empty after the first exploration. Usually games allow the quest to interact with the hub world in some form or fashion or open up new areas of it, but this is mostly static from the start of the game all the way to the close of the game and just provides you with the appropriate areas to upgrade. I have a feeling the majority of the development of this game was focused on the action and adventure part, while the story and smaller things like the overarching hub world, they just fell on the back burner. When you complete all the quests, the game offers significant opportunities for replay value. Each level can be completed about 10 times over with a new difficulty level, each yielding greater and greater loot. Also, the option to play as any of the 4 separate characters allows for experiencing the game in a little bit different light. However, nothing new is really opened up with each next playthrough of the quest, and I have a hard time imagining someone really wanting to play through this more than once or twice because the game itself, it does grow fairly stale after the first couple of times. Now, I have mentioned a few times in this review that you can play the game with 4 separate characters, and while that is true, you will literally have to buy the game twice in order for that to happen. There are 2 versions of this game for some reason, Frontline Fighters and the Advanced Attackers, each including 2 of the 4 characters. The games are 100% identical except for your choice of starting characters. Honestly, this is just a bunch of crap. Why on earth would you not just put all 4 characters in the same version? This is just trying to get players to buy the game twice, and it doesn't make any sense. I'm not a fan of this policy at all, and they just need to combine all the versions together. However, if you just purchase the one version and ignore that you're missing the other 2 characters, you'll still have a great time with the game. Overall, this game does have some flaws. However, most of the flaws are fairly minor and can be ignored when blasting through all of the quests. Would a better story have helped the game? Yes. Could some more work have possibly gone into the RPG elements? Yes. Could they have combined the 2 versions into one and not try to price gouge the consumer? Yes. However, do you think about any of those issues as you're fighting your way through these extremely fun action levels? No! The fun of the quests and levels far outweigh the flaws in this game, and I found myself having a great time 90% of the time that I was playing this game. My recommendation is pick up one of the 2 versions, give it a try, and I don't think you'll regret that decision one bit. But if you enjoyed this video, be sure and give it a like and subscribe to the channel. We upload about twice a week on here, but go out there, find a great game to play, and just simply have a great rest of the day.